In this video, I want to talk about the craziness that happens when the relationship is over. So you might be, contact or grain rock, and the abuser reaches out to you and creates a reaction within you. And I want to speak about the difference between responding and reacting to the abuser, what it means, where these emotions are in your body, and the reasons that they actually play these games, and also the reason they sometimes don't do it. So if you're thinking you haven't experienced the hoovering, and also the craziness and the emotions that are happening inside you where you actually want to reach out and make contact with them. Welcome to the Divorce Sanctuary. I'm Elizabeth, author of Finding Lily and the A to Z of Emotional Abuse. On this channel, I talk about healing from emotional abuse and divorcing emotionally from the abuser. I want to remind you that love should be unconditional. Divorcing emotionally and healing the original wound is life-changing. I want to help you understand and process what's happening inside you and help you discover the best tools to heal on a deeper level, becoming the best version of yourself. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back and thank you. In this video, I want to share with you some of the reasons that they purposely reach out and their reasons behind this. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to share with you the strategies that may help you break the cycle of abuse and the trauma bond. And if you have any tips that you think would be helpful in this situation, please add them below in the comments. The way you respond or react is your responsibility. Personally, I believe it's really important to understand or understand why the abuser does this, enabling you to heal. So my analogy is this. I want you to imagine the abuser as an electric car. The electric car is basically a big battery on wheels. When it runs out of charge, you drive it, well, as long as it's not fully empty, you take it to a charge point and you get a lead and you plug it in to the charge point from the car and you charge it up. The emotional abuser is that car. The emotional abuser is empty due to their dysfunctional childhood and they need to be filled up. They aren't able to do this themselves. They rely on others. And like the electric car relies on a unit to fill itself up. The charge units for the abusers are people. The people in their lives have different values. They have their main source of supply, which will be their partner. And then as they move throughout the day, they will bump into other supply units, which they can plug into and charge themselves up. And they run throughout like an inner and outer circle. I've used chess pieces as an example of the different values in other videos and other things that I've spoken about. Their children will always be the value of a pawn unless they have done something that they can brag about and it shows the abuser as a good parent. But it doesn't matter what age their children are, they appear to always be a low source of supply to them. So the abuser charges up his or her battery at home overnight at their charge unit, and then they move off during the day. Each person they meet charges them up a little bit. They can tap into them, they can plug into them. Some will have high value. The better the attention that a person can provide, the nearer to the inner circle they will become. But the abuser will move people in and out depending on what is happening. There might be people that they work with, or the lower value may come from the person at the checkout at the supermarket or perhaps at the petrol station. However, if they go into this shop every day and they meet that same person and they get to know them, their attention and supply could be better quality than, say, Jan on reception at work. When they leave, it might have been they've just disappeared, or they might have made excuses and said that they needed some time to themselves, or they hurled insults at you, leaving you confused, lost, with very raw emotions and so many questions, believing it's all your fault. You get no closure. And within a short period of time, it appears that they're in a new relationship. leaving you in pain. And this pain is very like a physical pain. It feels like you've been kicked or beaten up, or that somebody's been standing on your chest. There are no visible bruises, but there is emotional damage, and it is this that the abuser plans on using to get a reaction. And also remember, during the idealization stage, they listened to you, they validated you, they heard you in a way that no one had heard you before. They know your wounds. So not giving you the closure that you need at the end of the relationship was purposeful, as well as for a couple of other reasons. One is that closure means them taking some form of responsibility for their behaviour. The other is to play with your emotions. They know that you're going to question everything. They know from your responses and the way that you're connecting with them that they have still got power and control. And these relationships are about power and control. They want to check in every so often to see if they still have that power over you. And you're left at the end of the relationship with so many questions and replaying it over, wondering if you had said something differently or done something differently, would you be here? Or if you hadn't said or hadn't done something, wondering what is wrong with you and how you went from being the only person that ever understood them to being discarded in such a horrible way. Watching their new partner step into your shoes and live your fake future that you'd created together. Your self-esteem is being completely destroyed, and with no closure, you're unable to move forward and to heal. The cycle of abuse created a pattern which you got addicted to. But part of that addiction or that pattern was that they came back and you forgave them and they moved you into the idealization stage. So now you're stuck because they haven't come back. You're left hanging and there's nothing from them closing the relationship. And these questions torment you, and you may feel the need to reach out to them. Your emotions are swinging backwards and forwards like a pendulum. One moment you can see what they did and who they were or are, and then next you remember all the good times, and these overshadow the abuse. And remember, you were told that the abuse was love anyway. And if you reach out, there's a possibility that you'll be ignored, as they can't risk the new supply finding out who they are. Or they're actually enjoying the quality of supply that they're getting from this person, and they don't want you casting a shadow over their enjoyment. They may have blocked you from social media and from contacting them. You aren't able to give them the supply that they need at this point. Maybe your charger point is broken. There's somebody else charging them up, and you might get ignored, or you might receive a reply asking you to stop ringing them. The abuser might be concerned that you're actually going to ruin things. They might be busy hooking them up to the supply unit, to trauma bonding them. However, they might actually be able to use you and triangulate you, showing their new supply what you're like, how jealous you are. You could be used in bonding that new supply. You're providing the abuser with the information that they still have the power and control over you, and they know that you'll be waiting for them, ready to jump at any opportunity to be out of the pain that you're in. And if they're the ones reaching out to you, they're looking for a reaction. They need you to react. They're then able to say, this is what I had to put up with. Look at this crazy person. They might be trying to gain supply from their new partner, hooking them further into the relationship and playing this game of triangulation. And you might recall the stories that you heard about the crazy ex before you and the one before him or her. And they might reach out if they start to realise that you're working on yourself and you're healing, and say that they can't live without you. The emotional abuser makes contact with you and then pleads with you, asking for another chance, claiming this is the last time, and they mean it. They can see their failings. They can see why you see their behaviour as hurtful. They don't regret anything they've done to you. They may regret losing control, and they may regret not picking up sooner that you were going to make an attempt to escape if that's what you've done. And any regret that they claim is not in the form that you want it. The words you hear are fake. You may have made multiple attempts at repairing the relationship, only to realise it's futile. The idealization at the beginning, putting you back on the pedestal. And that initially lasts longer than it did before, but then the little put down starts and they might say that they're really sorry. And then it repeats, and before you know it, you're living the life you had before the breakup or the third breakup. Personally, I believe that when you can understand why they are doing this to you, you can then understand that you'll find the wound or the wounds and you can heal from this relationship. You can ask, is it the rejection? Is it the abandonment or the betrayal? Is it the shame? Where is this coming from? We have 3 core wounds, which are fear of abandonment, shame, and betrayal. Could this be from the trauma bond, the pain that you're experiencing? And when you get to this point and you're able to talk to your wounds, you don't react or want to reach out to the abuser. You're able to either ignore them or respond in the way that you want to. And it won't matter what they say or what they do. They can't hurt you. They are the damaged ones. They're the ones that are empty inside, but they will do anything within their power to trigger you. The investment for them was at the beginning of the relationship. And by responding, you're telling them that you are still invested in that relationship and in them, and that you still care. They still have control over you. And remember, they use your response to convince others that you are the problem. When you react, they're able to say, look what I put up with. You might be used in a game of triangulation. The new supply may see the red flags and they parade your behaviour to quieten these questions. And the new supply, whilst they further bond them into the relationship, the new supply has it all wrong. It was your fault, not the abuser's. Do you remember that happening in your relationship? You may have behaved in a way that's unfamiliar or out of character to you. You may have done or said things that you believed you are the crazy person. Don't defend yourself. If you've been trauma bonded and subjected to emotional abuse, you do feel like you're going crazy. Nothing makes sense. Your future has been shattered and you don't know who you are. You don't know what is wrong or what is right. You don't know what's left or right, up or down. This was a game and you weren't given the rules. In fact, if you realise what the rules were, they were changed at a moment's notice. And everything that went on was to make you question yourself. It was designed for you to hand over the power and control of your life. And perhaps you experienced a similar type of behaviour growing up. And you develop strategies to protect yourself in order to survive. Fight or flight. You make a decision to survive. You might stand there and work out the size of the threat versus the distance between you. It's split-second decision making. Or perhaps you fawned, sensing that something was upsetting a parent or a caregiver. Something inside you told you that there was something wrong. Fawning is where you use words and actions to calm down a situation or a person. Or you might have been frozen to the spot. Your body is playing dead and you went into freeze. It stopped you. Again, these are trigger responses to protect you from danger. As I said at the beginning, I'll share with you some tools to help you with this. I've used this in another video and I'll link that in the description box below. 7 steps you can take to outsmart a narcissist. But it's a stop-drop role. It's something that the term is used by the fire brigade. I've just tweaked it to work with this. But you stop what you're doing. You drop into the emotion that's coming up. And you roll it around and you ask, where's it coming from? Ground yourself. So by coming out of your head and being in your body, you're able to realize this was a deliberate attempt to trigger you, to get a reaction from you, to find out if you're still hurting. You can use the technique for situations where you want to reach out to them and for situations where they're reaching out to you. And if they are making contact via text messages or messenger messages or emails, see if you can ask someone to reply for you. Another thing you can do is put your phone or a tablet or laptop in another room and leave it so you can't hit that reply button and react, because they want that reaction. That reaction is where the power is, where the supply is. You could write out your response with everything, with swear words or whatever it is that you feel, but not send it, and then take out all the emotion and just hit reply with the very basic information that they are asking for. If you need to reply at all, remember, any reaction they will use as supply. Supply to prove that you are the reason they had to move on. Supply to prove how deeply they hurt you. It's used to prove how you still care about them. Again, they don't care whether it's negative or positive. You are thinking about them. Remember, they want you to react. Don't give it to them. If you found this video helpful in some way, please like and share, and look at subscribing to the channel. I'll put a link to my course. It stops here. It stops now in the description box, because that has in there the tools. I teach you how to have these honest conversations with yourself. I'm sending you loads and loads of love.